According to me, I feel like, at least women empowerment starts at home.
I always tell one thing, that we were the luckiest women to be born in 80s India.
If my mother wanted a boy, it doesn't matter. I'm going to make her more proud than a boy could ever make her. I'll always make her proud.
One of the things but my parents were very clear about right from the beginning, that you need to be independent.
It's just not like, oh, I'm just getting married to the boy, but I'm getting married to the entire family as well, and their values should match with mine as well.
I was surprised, in a group of 80 females sitting there, barely anybody raised a hand.
Accounting is like salt, right? It does not have seasons, it does not have recessions. You be in the boom of the economy.
But in Chennai, as soon as I wore saris, it was like, Amma solunga. Like, it means like, Amma, please tell us. And the respect, they started listening to me.
I want to go out there and explore. So these are my earnings. It's not just earnings in money.
The only support that is needed, a silent support for that matter, is we understand you. At some point of time, you are not able to show up, it is okay.
There were times when I had to stay away from the instrument, especially the initial years of work where we had to clock in a lot more hours.
I do take out some time, when it kicks in, no, I have to do it, and I do it.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of She Balances the Books for this Women's Day in 2026. We're really happy to have you over here. So I'm going to leave a conversation or let the thing flow naturally. So not going to ask you questions from my phone. Maybe at one point of time I might pick it up and stuff. But yeah, let me start way back where, a memory of yours I would like to touch base on, where you all started and felt like a woman is empowered, and how. Like, oh my God, that's such a great feeling. So I want to touch base on that memory. If we can start with you, ma'am.
During my school days, we had a book titled Arundhana Arundhati.
Okay.
It means there was a laureate whose name was Arundhati, and then people were wondering, like, how can you achieve so much in life? And she said that as long as you do not stop me, I can achieve anything that I want. And then I realized, okay, Arundhana Arundhati, that word, that phrase is still there in my mind. And I know that as long as you know what you want to do, you have the basic ingredients, what it needs to make that recipe, you can always do that.
That's nice. How about you?
Oh, fantastic. In my earliest, the first few days of when I started being a CA articleship, I met a commissioner of appeals who was a woman. And it was amazing to go and interact with her. And the kind of advice she gave me on day one of meeting her, I had gone for a small adjournment. It was not a very comfortable thing for an articles to do. But it was amazing the kind of achievement she had made and the kind of cases she was handling. And I was really inspired looking at her, and I felt, okay, she's at the helm of affairs of such a big organization. And that gave me a lot of, that was like that deja vu moment. Oh, I could be that. That was like this little person in your teenage. When you look at them, you're like, wow. So I think that was my moment.
Yeah. How about you, ma'am?
I watch a lot of these podcasts, let's say by Sudha Murthy, Indra Nooyi. When I see them, I really feel, okay, if they are able to do it, then definitely it is possible and I have to thrive. So when I look at those people, it's really inspiring. Yeah. They really redefine what women empowerment is.
Correct. But so according to me, I feel like, at least women empowerment starts at home, right? So what was that one thing which your family did, which made you all be like, yeah, I feel empowered because it's coming from home and it's hitting home run. So to walk me through that feeling. So I'm going to be making you all walk me through multiple feelings so that everyone around here knows what it feels like to be empowered and what it feels like to become empowered also. Because everyone has their ups and downs as well. So I want to unravel the conversation in that way.
So I would say it was, I always, in my travels, I've been to Saudi Arabia, I've been to Australia, which is a very modern society, Saudi Arabia, which is growing up to be a great place. I always tell one thing, that we were the luckiest women to be born in 80s India. And I think the kind of opportunities we got right at the family stage and where we are. One of the things, but my parents were very clear about right from the beginning, that you need to be independent, financially independent. I think that was a very big, when I came out of that 20s range, I realized that I was very lucky to be in a family which was very clear that you had to be financially independent. That was probably not a talk in many people's houses, and I felt that way already. I felt blessed to be there. And in terms of the families that I have been to, like now that I am as a part of even my husband or my husband's family, I think they think about the growth together. They look at it like, when we said we are shifting to Australia, my father-in-law's first question was, will you get a job? Do you think your career, because you're doing well here, so, will you, I don't want you to just follow my son. And I think those kind of conversations being more open, I would really appreciate that. That was a turning point where I've always felt equal. I mean, I've probably come from a brought up, and where I've been, I've felt very equal. And I've taken that with me. And that's great that we are all in this part of the world so privileged to be where we are very equal. That's what I would.
How would you?
I have a childhood memory. When I was about, I think, 3rd or 4th class, a relative told me that, your mom was expecting a boy child. I'm the second one, okay? So it's not like in my family that you definitely need a boy. It's not like that. So the first one was girl, and my mother was expecting a boy for the second one. And my aunt told me that your mother was actually disappointed as soon as I'm like, what? No. And I don't know that as a child, I just felt that, okay, my mother wanted a boy, it doesn't matter. I'm going to make her more proud than a boy could ever make her. I'll always make her proud.
But that was just in your own mind, not your mom's mind.
But between me and my sister, right, I was all more like a boy in the house. If, we had to go shopping and if there's a heavier bag, it would always be me who would take that. Or we are shifting a house and we had to go up the attic, I would usually be like, oh, I can do it. And my mother would always be very supportive. So she would never stop me from, if I have to travel. I've traveled many places alone, even right from my articleship. For her, when she sees an opportunity for me, something that she could not give, right, she'll be like, go out, all explore. And I think that's the way they help me grow.
How about you, Swaroopa?
I think I share the similar memory as that of Uma. It had always been my parents who were very supportive, and they did trust me. Okay, you want to do this? Do. Just that, let us know where are you going, as in if I am on an outstation audit. Correct, or audit which is going to take some time as well. Even in the school days also, they were just supportive. They were, if you want to do, just be clear about it, why you want to do it.
Correct.
And then go about it. Nice. Same happens in the family that I am into now. My father-in-law is very clear. If you have learned so much, you must put it to use.
Correct, yeah.
Not from the commercial angle, but he's like, when you've put in so much of efforts to earn this degree, to earn this knowledge, you must put it to use. Just don't sit back and, be completely a homemaker. Being homemaker is a big thing, of course.
Definitely.
But putting to use what you have
studied.
Spent so many years to learn is also important. And the family that understands its importance.
Correct. And I think that's where the alignment happens. Like, you have been brought up in one household. So even when you get married to another household, the other household should match your values as well.
True.
Right?
True.
And it's just not like, oh, I'm just getting married to the boy, but I'm getting married to the entire family as well. And their values should match with mine as well. That's very important. So I've noticed we all mentioned a sort of privilege that we have, correct? Not many people go through that privilege. So what do y'all do on a day-to-day basis to inculcate that sort of privilege or give that sort of security to girls out there in this day and age, saying that, hey, you can continue working. CA is a great thing. It's not something which is a man's role, because ideally, if you look at it, accounting is looked at it as a man's role, right? You're sitting with the board of directors, you're sitting with all of this, you're sitting in multiple rooms, and a lot of women, they would rather close their shoulders in and then go in rather than stand strong and go. So what are you all doing in each of your fields, in each of your careers, to inculcate that feeling like, stay strong, stand strong, all of that?
I started my training journey like about 2-3 years, like very passionately training. And I'm also a CA career counselor. So I had an opportunity to go out to these rural places or sub-rural, suburban places and interact with the people out there. There, I would be the first CA they are meeting. They haven't even met a CA.
They know what is CA.
See, they don't know what is CA. I'm going to those places and introducing this course. And in those places, they're not open to sending girls outside to work. And they don't even know opportunity like practice exists. They can, be on their own terms. So when I introduce this to them, they are all with, those shining eyes, when they see that opportunity that they can, have this and that both. So that's one way I, try to bring hope and, try to encourage them. And other things are, of course, through training initiatives. I teach aspiring accountants and where that can also provide them work from home opportunities.
As you rightly said, Geena, we probably have been very lucky to have the privilege to be able to access to the education and great work. I mean, you've been able to go and teach people about CA. As I said, even in my family, I think I was one of the first CAs, and more were engineers and doctors and other categories. So one of the things that I've always observed is our housemates. And I've been trying to, I find that they are not independent even to select the phone they want now, or to even select smaller things and other stuff. So one of the things I keep telling them to have is a financial independence and a small notebook where you write about what you're earning, because they also are giving, like us. They are like a dual income family. But when it comes to decisions and stuff like that, sometimes it can, some of them are lucky to have good partners, some of them are not lucky, but they need to have that understanding of finances as to how much they are bringing in, how they can be able to this one. And I have found they are actually very adaptable to learn, accounting packages, and, these are very easily trainable things, and which can give them, as you said, something like an income where they would have not even thought about it. So I guess I have met a set of group of people where I've told them that you should think, or, tell your children to take up accounting, and you can also learn with them. Some of them actually I've seen have come out of accounting and other things, and they had no job and they didn't know how to proceed. They've then come back for house helping, senior citizen caring typically and all that. And I keep telling them you can actually do it online. Even if you are caring for a senior citizen, you can take 2 hours or something and try and do that. I think those were some little conversations, and as she rightly said, many people don't even know that this is a very huge potential, because sitting here, as she was telling, we can serve a client in Australia, we can serve a client in Saudi Arabia, we can serve a client anywhere in the world, and it's all about knowing that basic English. And even you can have somebody else to communicate for you. All you need to do is how does
just
the
know
debit
your
credit
work.
matters. Yeah. So I guess
I
it's
think
very empowering.
just knowing your work is where the main thing matters is. Yeah. How about you, ma'am?
I would like to, I beg to differ a little bit from what you said, Uma. I happen to be, being invited as a speaker at many forums wherein I have conducted financial literacy seminars for female entrepreneurs, or for the government officials also. And I was surprised to know, I mean, let alone female entrepreneurs or just, a bunch of females, but the officers that I was speaking about. When I just asked how many of you have been a part of any financial decision making, let alone financial decision making, how to invest your own salary, I was surprised. In a group of 80 females sitting there, probably few of them were about to, retire in a couple of years.
Correct.
Barely anybody raised their hand.
In a group of well-educated people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was one of the government officials who do handle funds in a way or the other.
For the government.
Yes, certainly.
But they're not handling their own funds.
Their own funds.
Yeah.
So, when I go interact with group of people, this was one example. But then, of course, I go to various colleges also to take up some lectures on any specific topic related to finance or investments. And then I feel very happy that, I am giving them an insight which probably they were never having so far. And the feedback that I get after the seminars, it's not about what or how I spoke, or about how they got inspired or they got a different,
outlook.
For it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is how I should be looking at the things, or I am lacking on this basic set of information to go ahead with this decision.
Correct.
So that gives me the happiness, and therein I realize that many a times people do not participate because they do not have the idea. So spreading that knowledge as much as you can on through any of the forum,
like
wherever
basic
you get.
awareness.
Yeah, that is very important. And from the institute's level also, CA Institute level,
ICA.
we do conduct various investor awareness programs, financial literacy programs, wherein we urge students, the members, the participating members, how CA can be a medium for them achieving their dreams, and again, giving people the way they can lead their life.
I'm going to take you back to a memory of your childhood that you all said like, oh, I see everyone around me as a doctor or a engineer or any architect. I'm just giving any profession over here. What made you all drive yourself towards like the accounting profession? Because it's ideally not something which is sought after by women and on a day-to-day basis, right? They'd be like, oh, numbers, it's fine. A man can handle it. Ideal thought process. But what made that switch in your head? Like, no, I can pick up accounting.
I am a science graduate per se, typically a statistics and a computers student.
Correct.
I have an elder sister who is an engineer, and rest of the my all cousins are engineers by default. So basically, I always wanted to study something which I will be putting to use in my day-to-day life and the way I earn money.
Okay.
With all due respect, during engineering, you learn almost like 12 to 14 subjects every year.
Correct.
So it's a 4 years course.
Yeah.
And ultimately, with all due respect once again, majority of them end up doing coding or testing. So I was like, why am I studying so many subjects when I'm not actually going to use it in my day-to-day life or for my livelihood?
Correct.
So I think commerce, as in I won't be only specifically focusing on accounting, but commerce is a stream wherein whatever you learn, you are actually putting it to use in your day-to-day life. So this was one reason I was very clear, okay, I'm doing this just as a backup because, the time when I cleared CA, or rather I was supposed to get enrolled for the CA course, it was, बहुत कम लोग हैं जो pass होते हैं, hardly 1 or 2 persons. So what if you are not those 1 or 2 persons? So typically the question for my parents, just in case if I do not end up to be a CA, I have still one course open for myself.
Yeah, like a backup option.
Yes, that a backup option. I did my BSc.
Yeah.
But yes, luckily.
Okay, you cleared.
Yeah.
How about you?
See, I feel accounting as a career or a course, accounting is like salt, right? It does not have seasons, it does not have recessions. You be in the boom of the economy or the bottom of the economy, you need accounting. So
Correct.
accountants have no seasons.
So that's how you thought about it?
No, there's a funny story why I thought about it. But, with this maturity, I can tell this is what accounting is. But I had decided to do CA during my high school itself. That's again another, I would say, funny story.
Please, we are all yours.
So I grew up in a joint family. We were 12 to 14 members until my class 10. And we were living in a house, a beautiful house. You see this house in Kerala, right? In the middle, there's open, and when there's rain, that kind of a house and a joint family. And we were there for almost 2 generations. And suddenly one day I find out that it is not our house. We are in a rented house. I'm like, oh, that was a shock for me. And I was very, very connected with that house, very connected with my family. And I felt, okay, now let me figure out which profession I can choose where I can earn money fastest and I can buy this house. Wow. It's a very cute one. And then I was actually more inclined towards science because, see, at school level, we do study science. We don't know what is commerce. So I was more inclined towards science maybe in my high school level. But I thought if I have to become doctor, I have to study 5 years after, graduation. And I'm like, no, that much of time I don't have now. This one I can do right after my class 12. Let me do this quickly.
Okay, so it's like your fast track course.
That's what I thought back then. And the story is different later on.
It's funny how when you mentioned, Sindhu ma'am, that accounting does not have recession, I had picked it up because of that. I was like, let me pick up something which you don't see a lot of women picking it up or even men picking it up. There's a shortage, obviously, of accountants. And plus, at the same time, whether there's a recession or whether the season's booming, you always have a job because accounting is required in both. So it's not like something which is not required. So when you said that, that's why I was like, oh, it really is that? I thought like someone else I can also relate to someone else. Yeah. How about you, Mama?
As you said, not very funny, but I had put a benchmark for myself in grade 10. So one thing, though we had few doctors in the family, one thing was very clear that getting into medical would not be easy unless you are like really the top and the kind of expenditure that it takes. I come from a very modest government employee kind of a family, so we knew our limitations in that way. In grade 10, I just set a benchmark, like if I get this percentage, I take science or this one. So I was very interested in chemical engineering. Even today, I do read about it. But when the percentage came, I was like 0.1% less than my benchmark. And I decided I set a benchmark, I take this. And my entire class, most of them, like 95% of them took science. And I came to the Commerce College. So I had very few friends over there. And when I came to the Commerce College, I really felt very different because I was interacting with the same set of people. And I felt that my capabilities were more into speaking to people, networking with people. And as I started researching, I said, okay, what is the best course in commerce? And I used to only listen like auditor, you need to be a CA. And I said, okay, that's it. I go for that. So that was like, I came to commerce. After that, I decided that CA is the best course. At that point of time, CA and law, I would say, were the best combination. And that's how I landed up in CA. And I'm very happy because I think as CAs, as you said, one is a recession-proof industry. I would say a great global mobility industry. After doing CA here, I have worked in Australia, I've been able to work in Saudi, I've been able to work in different countries. Like I worked in Germany for some time and a bit in London for different clients. It's like, it's the same template. It's universal. And you can provide solutions to, clients across the world. So I think that's, I feel...
is like backbone for any kind of institution,
Exactly.
name a thing, and you have to have accounts.
Yeah.
It's inevitable and unending.
So along with my same thought process of picking up accounting, I was like, oh, every company across the globe will have a finance department.
Exactly.
Come what may, they will need a finance department. Whether they have any other department or no, they will need a finance department to run their thing. And that's why I was like, oh, let me pick up accounting. And that's how even I went into the field of accounting. So moving on from like, that aspect of our life where y'all picked up and chose accounting, and how y'all are booming today, I want to touch base on this particular aspect that doesn't make it up to like LinkedIn or any of our social platforms and all of it, where it brings out our human side. So this one, I want to ask y'all as to what was that one drawback that y'all saw in like, forums and all of it, which y'all said that, oh, that doesn't sit well with me and I've been like, catapulted behind, but only to move forward in life. So do you all have any sort of memory in those angles?
I think I have a very small, I would say, a memory or a kind of a different experience. I'm a person who's born and brought up in Bombay. And I worked in larger companies in Bombay when my career started. When I came down to Chennai, I initially was working in a large MNC, and then I decided I want to serve small and medium businesses because that's something that really the startup, the areas where people are, pitching on new ideas, and that area was there. I joined a small VC firm. Because I was from Bombay, the culture, what I found between the Bombay small and medium business and the Chennai small and medium was completely different. And when I came in initially, all the senior professionals were male professionals. I found very less women. There was a lot of factory workers in Chennai. At that point of time, there were very less in the board level or, senior executive level. Initially, when I used to speak, I used to find like they were very dismissive, like they were not listening to me. After some point of time, I started wearing saris for certain thing. I would really Like in Chennai, I don't know whether it would be in Bombay, but in Chennai, as soon as I wore saris, it was like, Amma solunga. Like it means like, Amma, please tell us. And the respect, they started listening to me. And I was very surprised. Like in Bombay, I would have never thought that attire makes a difference to what I speak. But probably in a setup here in Chennai, it gave me a learning. So to all board meetings, all important bank meetings where we were asking for funding or any important investor meetings, I used to wear a sari and go. And that's where my love for saris came. But that was like a learning where I felt that actually I was talking the same thing. I was the same person. Yeah, so I think that was something which was very, very good to learn. Like these things do make a difference, probably.
Since you have a particular experience in like Australia as well as, and you mentioned that Germany too, have you faced any circumstance like this over there where women are like, all the more welcome or not welcomed?
See, I would say what was different in Germany and Australia to here is the stories that were passed on to generation. For them, they were already very forward. Like for me, actually, because I'm from a family which gave equal opportunity to boys and girls, it was different. But I do find that they didn't listen to these stories. So for them, it was always about like whether I'm a woman or a man, I can do anything that I. But having said that, I would be the same thing that you were mentioning about financial decisions. Even in Australia, I find women don't take financial decisions. We think from here, but many, 70%, and in fact, the government invests in training women to reduce domestic violence about financial freedom and importance. So it was a big learning. I thought it's a Western society, everybody is so advanced. No, it's not like that. But when it came to actual financial decisions, we did have interaction. So they used to invite accountants and people to teach, especially people who were had a past of domestic violence or something, because they need to know. Suddenly they need to be aware of what are their finances, how do they survive. So we used to have that group training for those areas. So though the society was progressive, probably it takes a lot of time. And I think education in those areas that you guys are doing is amazing, really required.
That's nice.
I would also like to share one memory. In the initial year of my practice, I stumbled upon few clients, 2 or 3, as in they were absolutely unfiltered and unapologetic while, they came through somebody's reference that she's the person who can give you the right guidance and everything. Correct. We spoke, we discussed, everything was charted out, this is how we will be moving ahead. And when it came to commercials, I just said that, this is how we'll do, I'll be sending you the commercials. The person started hinting me, ma'am, हम आपके पास आए हैं because, you are a female. So you will be charging lesser than rest of the CAs. And then I was like, how am I any less?
Correct, yeah.
I studied the very same course. I studied the very same exam. Subject. I hold the very same certificate of practice. Yeah. How is it going to be different?
Yeah.
And then I told him with respect, I said, sir, this is how we conclude our meeting. If you think that will you be okay if I give you a little inferior services than them? They'll, no, ma'am, you are a CA, you have to do this. Then how come it translates into the commercials that I'm going to give you?
Correct.
So people still today have that mentality, नहीं आप तो ladies हैं, फिर आप तो time नहीं देंगे. I said, who tells that?
Correct.
See, we are professionals at the end of the day and we are at par with everyone else. The moment we take the responsibility, it is our job how we do it.
Correct.
But people do have that mentality, at least in India for sure, I can say. I don't know about Australia or anything.
So there was this one experience of mine where when you mentioned that, you went through the same thing that just because you wore a sari and there was a different mindset of people. So I was working somewhere and I had a male counterpart working with me. And I would just say that, oh, this is something which we can do it in this manner. How we normally do in a team. It wouldn't be okay with him. And he would tell my manager, who's also a woman, being like, no, I'm not going to listen to you or her because it's coming from a woman. And I had another senior person in the team and he understood. He was like, oh, this is something which y'all are facing. Let me try explaining the exact same words he used and he accepted it like, oh, okay, fine. Like, this can be done this way. And I'm like, that's bizarre to even think that, the exact same words being used by a male colleague of mine and a female senior of mine has not been accepted by the two women in the team. But yeah, and that was bizarre. So that's why I was like, is there something which y'all had this experience during life? Because I think at every room there is this always a weird tension, like, is that person going to listen to what I'm going to say? Like, whether someone says it or not, it's always there, like, especially for women. More for women than for men. Men will also have it, but it's more for women. Usually there's a mindset shift, right? During a phase in life, you'll be like, oh, at this point of time, my work is not of priority. But at the same time, I have a family that is also building. And you try to keep this balance, or women are just expected to know about this balance, right? And I want to touch base on those aspects about your particular individual stories where you're like, I'm losing it, but at the same time, I've got this. Like, that mindset shift. So can we start with you, Swaroopa, ma'am?
Basically, Geena, I happen to be one of the managing committee members for one of the branches of ICAI.
Correct.
So when we got elected and we were inducted as a committee members, we did speak to our seniors. There were barely any. I think with me, one more managing committee member is a female.
Correct.
And that makes the 5th managing committee member in so many years of history of Nagpur branch.
Correct.
So we did ask, how did you manage? Your kids would also be very young then.
Yeah.
So they're like, by time, over the period, you will learn it. And now when I look at myself 4 years back and today, now I've understood probably it is never about the balance. We just name it very beautifully that, you have to balance. But there is nothing called balance. It is just a matter of choice at that point of time.
In your life.
You make.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay? So, with this, I really want to tell everybody out that please don't put too much of burden on your own self to gain that balance or to learn that balance.
Yeah, correct.
It's only about the priority at this point of time. What is important? More important. Where are you needed more?
Correct, yeah.
Is it your professional commitment? Is it your personal commitment? Or is it your commitment to your own self?
Definitely.
Because as a female, I think we put ourselves on the last burner.
Correct, yeah.
So the self-peace, self-space is where we compromise the most. Okay, ठीक है ना, ये हम बाद में कर लेंगे. Why do you need it? Because unless you are happy with your own self, you won't be able to focus on anything, or you won't be able to do justice to anything that you're expected to do. So first and foremost, we must focus on our own well-being, our own peace of mind and satisfaction.
And then either look at professional or personal.
Yes, and then make a choice. What is more important now?
Correct. When it comes from a place of peace, I think automatically you'll be able to make a right decision at that point of time.
Things become more clearer because you are at calm.
Yeah.
No? So you can think, as in look at the things the way that should mostly be seen.
Correct, yeah.
Because no perspective is right. For me, what is right could be wrong for you.
Definitely.
So what is more correct at that moment of time, you will be able to decide it better and do the justification. So I think there is nothing called balance, but yes, you need to know.
Yeah. It's like that tarazu, right? Yeah. Which one needs more priority? Accordingly, you keep adding weight to it.
True.
Yeah. That's nice. So how about you, ma'am?
See, as a practicing CA, that the job itself is so tough, We are having about 5 due dates in a month. And almost every due date is like a mini heart attack for the team and the CA. And it's very real, These days I hear about, especially CAs, they're passing away at a very young age. It's really alarming for me, And in those moments when I introspect, I just felt, first thing I decided is I'm going to practice in an area where I'm breaking free from the due dates. So I set my own due dates. So that's how, I'm investing more in trainings and in implementations and these things where I set the schedule, I set the due date, and I have my flexibility that way. So, and one thing I'm more consciously doing is, if I'm spending, let's say 1 hour or 2 hours today, I should not be spending same amount of time tomorrow. So investing in a lot of automations to reduce the effort that we are putting and bring more balance into work. So that's what I envision for myself and my team. We are not there at the optimum level yet, but this is what I envision. And I'm really mindful as of now, it's not just a particular number, the amount of money that I want to earn. So my earnings should be in the form of happiness, family time, peace. I'm a very extrovert person. I want to go out there and explore. So these are my earnings. It's not just earnings in money.
Yeah, that's nice. The way you put it, like, everything's important at the same time. To have a life beyond like money is also important. That's nice. How about you, ma'am?
Yeah, I completely agree with both of them. I think one thing is for sure, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves for the balance. And a very small observation between the senior citizens now, I find that the senior citizens, women who have been working, are aged much more than the men who have been working. It's a very general observation of people around in my vicinity or people. And I find because the pressure on them to do both the housework, taking care of the kids, taking care of your family, your husband's family, and everybody else in the all generations of family. And then to, as she said, putting yourself behind in terms of health, and the degeneration for man and women is almost equal. And you find that in later years, if the women are surviving, their health is much less compared to the men who are serving. They are like more independent, where the women becomes more dependent on their children or their, and community per se. But so what one takeaway that I always think from my earlier generation, I feel that doing that kind of focus on your health and to be able to probably reduce the dependence, because we don't know about the longevity, right? How we are going to be 40 years, 50 years, 100, 120. Like recently I heard in Japan, there is a full village of people who live up to 120 years, but they are very healthy. They get up every day and they go to work. So that's probably the balance that I mean for women. The pressure is more to ensure that your health is good enough to be able to take care of yourself. And as I said, the choice is like, for us, in my personal life, I've had many changes. Like I was in India, I had come up to a particular level. When I went to Australia, I started as a finance analyst. Because when I initially applied, I realized that though I had this wealth of experience, which was very relevant in India, for an Australian market, I was very irrelevant. I was just an immigrant who had no idea of how things work. Though from a finance side, within a very short time of 1 or 2 years, I could easily prove within the environment that yes, I do understand even up to the end of the cycle to present to the reports and all that. So I guess to be ready to restart at any point of time has been my mantra since then, to be happy that you don't look at titles or position, and like a combination of what is required for you and your family and your health and peace, as you always say. I think that has been my priority, and that's what I tell everybody. You can choose whenever we speak nowadays, like, if people, as I find the next generation is a bit averse to even get committed or married, and they say like, I don't want to leave my career. That's one thing. I said, completely, you need to discuss to see whose career will do where, and you can choose to be where both your careers are doing well. I think that conversations are happening a lot today, and that's very promising. I think it gives better, the pressure is dispersed, and the pressure is not only on the women to think about it, both of them are thinking. I think it's changing a lot.
That's nice. I think that's the nice way that you mentioned that, health is of utmost priority, especially since women go through menopause and multiple phases in life. Their health is just deteriorating at a greater extent.
I found when I went to Australia, women above 90 were still very healthy. They were doing their lawn mowing, they were doing their, whether they were single or they had their partner or not. Like interestingly, we had a coffee shop. I had a coffee shop in Australia. And we had this above 90-year-old, we had right opposite, we had an old age home where they used to come and have a coffee and they used to sit down. And when I used to look at them, I used to think, why are the seniors in, if I would think of the people above 90 in my family, they would be like, half of them would be crying. 70% of them, oh, my son doesn't do this, my daughter-in-law doesn't do this. Or, generally as a society, maybe we are surely getting better. But I felt they were so happy. And I'm like, what makes them so happy? They are the same aged people. So I think it's about how they have taken care and they don't expect and they are still able to walk, just go out and take a small walk is such a big luxury for, say, like, I know here with all the conditions of traffic, etc. But I think they have also made that effort on themselves, the time that they have taken in between whatever to take
their
care
health
of their...
first.
Yeah, they have put themselves first.
We have too many expectations.
Absolutely.
At every stage, and from if we are
Multiple,
yeah. So I think acceptance is the key. Whatever it is, okay, this is what it is, and what best I can make out of it. Instead of that, we keep on winning on this has not happened. This didn't go my way. I think that is why the difference.
It's just like be in the moment and just be
And
like,
try to have that open conversation. Nowadays, I think people
Communication
are
is the
receptive.
key.
The family needs to balance. It's not just you or this one.
yeah. So I'm glad like nowadays a lot of women are not having this pressure of balance, but yet at the same time, there is this inbuilt pressure that we put on ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? So what was one moment in your life where you said that, no, I'm not going to put that kind of pressure on me and I am going to allow other people to help me? Because a lot of women, they don't want to seek help because they feel like they are expected to know it all. Right? So what was that one moment in your life where you went seeking for help and which is also appreciated in society in this day and age?
My mother, she has been a housewife. And the way, the kind of things that they build in us, they set in us is, of course, you can go and do whatever you want. There's all liberty for that. But this piece of work is still something that you're expected to do, right? And somewhere, that expectation is there. It's just not gone. No matter how empowered women are, it's still not gone. So there came a point where, I had to, set things right. I'm like, see, I know cooking. I mean, I almost know everything that, everything that you want, I can do that. But family and marriage is about partnership. Even though I know to do everything, I don't want to be doing everything. It's a partnership, right? I'm also working same hours, full time as you. So I also need rest. So there came a point where I had to reset things. Okay, although I know everything, but so this is something, let's divide, delegate. If there is something that we can delegate, let's do that. See, in a country like India, we have easy access to, domestic help, need, everything. We have easy access here when compared to other countries. Taking care of my health, that can't be delegated. Chasing my career, someone else can't set up my office. I should do that. That cannot be delegated. But getting help at home, that can be delegated. So what can be delegated, don't put that on me. So I had to have this conversation, and I think that eased out a lot of things for me.
Yeah, I think a lot of women just feel like they have to survive with that pressure of having it all.
Performance pressure, peer pressure.
And also culturally, we are grown in that way, if you're not doing such a thing, after having all of this conversation also, if you're not cooking for like a couple of days or if you're not there enough in the family, you start feeling guilty, Culturally, we are like that.
I think it's about whatever work you do outside, your whole housework is still fixed as, like my mother was a housewife. So everything from end to end was done and all that and stuff like that. But what I find is when I moved abroad, I found that there were these two sets of families. One set of families where both the people used to engage in housework, and then one set of family where the pattern was continuing. But there is a breaking point this one, that one person cannot carry the load of the entire work. So I think it's really great that you had those conversations and we were able to do. I think without that, it's difficult for us to grow in both areas. Like we will have to give up that feeling that I may not be able to do what my mother did. I think that is what is in our mind. Our mother had every meal cooked fresh and everything. I'm not doing that for my children. But they will appreciate that in addition to that, we have been able to provide them some experiences and, build some career paths. I think that's where we have to satisfy ourselves in those areas. I think time and again, those situations come.
Not feel guilty about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You should also start accepting that, this is the balance. This is the best balance that we can achieve.
It's what you're doing, and it's not like, oh, you have to feel guilty that you're giving in one place extra while not giving in the other place extra. It can be either ways.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's nice. So there is always a sense of expectation out of women that, you should know this. But at the same time, they are not equipped enough to know where to draw the line with the expectations. They say that, oh, women should be working, we should empower women. But where should you draw the line in terms of like having utmost expectation for that person to be able to balance this household? So what are your thoughts on that?
I think women are already empowered. They just have to be made aware of their power.
Capabilities.
Yeah. So, but yes, of course, as you said, that women are expected to be going out, earning, setting their own career. But the only support that is needed, a silent support for that matter, is we understand you.
Correct, yeah.
At some point of time, you are not able to show up, it is okay.
Yeah.
And I really am lucky, I've been brought up in a family wherein, let alone my father used to say, okay, this is important to you, it's okay. Even if you're not showing up for this event, we will manage.
That's nice.
Even if you're not able to do this, it is okay. Doing this at your office, is it important? I said, yes. Really, okay, you go ahead, I will manage. And the same kind of support I get at my in-laws as well. So, that very silent message when the family gives you through their gestures.
Correct.
By not putting the pressure of performance that if she can do it, why can't you do it? Probably I am doing something else that she is not doing.
Yeah.
That understanding and the support that we are there for you is very important.
That's nice. How about you?
See, setting the right expectation is, setting the tune. It all starts from there. So in the beginning, I think when you're married, the kind of expectations your parents send you there with and the kind of expectations they set, that matters. So if they have set an expectation like, she knows everything and she can do everything. And we are also like on that, I can do it. I will do it all types.
You don't want to show it to people.
That you don't want to do or you don't know to do. And sometimes I feel, Geena, it is better not to know, because when you say you know it, you'll have to do it. Sometimes I have felt that, it's better off that I did not know this. So, setting that expectation, that's everything, honestly. And in the beginning, we are so overwhelmed that I want to be the best wife, best daughter-in-law, best. We are aiming perfection. We are, setting the bar high for ourselves. So I think we should calm down, slow down and say, okay, I know this, I know that, but I can do this much because I have other things to achieve, other things to do. So I can do this much. So setting that expectation
is very
important.
I think I, though I'm brought up in a family which was both my parents used to work in the kitchen. So it was very different that later on I realized that was not the case in many families and women were working more. Luckily, I would say I am a mother of 2 boys and my mother-in-law is also a mother of 2 boys. One of the things that I learned from her is she's a headmistress and she was a headmistress. She was working woman all through her life. When I got married and I went for work and I came back home, she used to make me my cup of coffee or my cup of tea and she used to tell me, I had to do it when I came back. I don't want you to do it. And that was a big transition moment for me, that understanding. And I find that she has taught her sons also very well, which majorly changed the shift of probably all of 8 of us as a family. And that's what I keep telling, probably to empower the men. To learn how to manage an empowered woman is a responsibility that we have as a society, to give them. So that's where probably now, in smaller ways or in big ways, not like teaching them that they wear these roles. What I tell them is, this is housework. Picking up the garbage is housework. Cleaning the utensils is housework. Luckily, we have somebody coming in. It may not be permanent. I really think we are moving to a society where after 20 years, we may not get house help. There are, with the amount of technology, AI and other things, everybody will have a job that they can do from home. There are restaurants are struggling to find people as servers, and I think the Western society where we do everything on our own. So there is a clear list of tasks for the home. It's not about a man or a woman. Whoever is what. You come Monday, Thursday, one person cooks. I've found families like that work. So I think it's about teaching our children that there are equal roles we can do in our small ways or in the immediate society of kids or the teenagers, so that they look at it as a shared responsibility rather than one person's.
I think rewire the roles that have been told that this is a woman's role and this is a man's role. We need to rewire it.
Yeah, I think it's in the little things or the little conversations that we have among our friend circle, with our parents, with our extended in-laws as well, saying that, hey, this is a man's role, this is a woman's role, that nothing like that exists.
Now this is a survival thing. You have to do it.
Yeah, this is a human being's role.
Yeah, these are the tasks of the house. It's housework. So anybody who is there in the house does the job. That's it.
Exactly.
That's nice. So that's very important. Every year for Women's Day, there is this topic which, it's like a centralized topic that is spoken about. So, and this year's topic is called Give to Gain. Okay. So, what was one aspect of your learning in life that a woman gave you that you have been like, oh my God, that if that had not happened from a woman and she had not given me, it can be your mother, it can be your sibling, it can be a friend, or it can be even someone you saw from afar, right? And they gave you that something, like, which sparked something, but you're like, I'm glad that happened and grateful that it happened. So what is that one thing?
When I started as a practicing chartered accountant, so far I'm working as a sole proprietor.
Correct.
So I went to one of the departments and the lady there said, ma'am, आप कौन से ऑफिस से हो? I said, I have my own office and this is what it is. She's like, I'm so glad to see that there is a female on her own who is practicing, because not that many CA members do not come to the office, but they are either associated with some big office or a firm.
Correct, yeah.
So you working on your own, I'm so glad to see that. And I felt that, okay, for me, something which was very normal and my choice is being looked at as a very different stunt altogether. That, okay, you're doing it on your own without anybody's support or without associating with any big name.
For you felt it like, okay, it's okay, something.
For me, it was normal because I made the choice, right?
Correct,
I want to start solo unless and until I meet somebody wherein we connect on the same kind of values or the vision together. So till then, I wanted to work solo. So for me, it was normal, but for somebody else, it was a very different thing altogether. And then I realized, no, theek hai.
What you're doing is something extraordinary.
No, not extraordinary, but at least I'm on the right path for sure.
Correct. It's looked at it as extraordinary, I would say. How about you, ma'am? What are your thoughts?
I think our mother and mother-in-law are always of the greatest inspiration for us, who help us in whatever we are doing and all that. For me, I think one woman who really inspired me was my college professor when I was in when I was in my BCom, and she was this organization of commerce professor, and she really took us to a lot of factory visit. She took us to industrial visits. She took us to big banks like IDBI, IFCI, and made us do presentations there. And she was always interacting with all her ex-students and all students. Even today, like last year, I went back to the college in Bombay and she's a headmistress now. So I think she was a great inspiration, who was a lady who had, taken that additional effort to ensure that every student of hers is going to the next phase. And I think that made one of the most inspiring women that I look at her, like that, my professor in college called Shanti Suresh. And I think I would like to mention that at that time she said that, yeah, you can be whatever you want to be. And at that age to get that advice was amazing. And every time, just to tell her, oh, I did this, was very good to go back and do that. I think you do have that. She's still an inspiration for me.
So during my CA classes, I had a teacher called Vijay Raja, and I treat him like my mentor even now. So we're still connected. During his classes, he used to do one very beautiful thing. He not just taught us the subject. He would take 15 minutes or 20 minutes of the class was dedicated for something called as extra gyan. He used to say, this 2 hours what I'm giving is samanya gyan, whatever I'm supposed to give. Now this one is extra gyan, and in those he taught us lessons of life, and that truly transformed me. And some of those, I will tell you, was very, very value adding for my practice journey. And he said, when I wanted to start my practice also, I had a discussion with him, sir, is practice a good decision or not? And he again reminded me of one extra gyan he used to give at our class. He said, Sindhu, there is no right decision or wrong decision at the inception. You take a decision, you work on it, you make it right. If you are not adequately working, you are not working on it, then it goes wrong. You take a decision and you make it right. So that stayed with me, and that was like the fire that kept me on. There were a lot of ups, a lot of downs, but this was something that kept me on. And what I also learned from him, at that point I was extremely inspired. And I was so awestruck by how he was able to empower me. And when I am empowered, my family is empowered. And like that, so many students. So he's not inspiring that one person, he's empowering that family, that a ripple effect, And that's what I try to do with my trainings when I am teaching aspiring accountants. I try to make it as interesting as possible for them so that they can pick it up as a career. And through that process, I always start my class with a 1-minute prayer, and trying to do the same thing for my students as my teacher did for me, creating that ripple effect.
Yeah, that's nice. So I'm glad you said that, ripple effect, because it's so important that, where you had that one small spark, even if it's through someone telling you that, oh my God, what you're doing is really good. And oh my God, a teacher telling you that the world is your platter, or this teacher of yours where he said that, you make things right. It's so important that these small things that sparked something in you, and you're able to give more to society from that one particular spark. So my next conversation with you all would be where each one of you all have been balancing life, and the very fact that this episode's name is called She Balances the Books, right? So I want you all to bring up a connotation or a different analogy that she balances the books, but, and ... So fill in the ... for me, and I want to hear each of your perspectives.
She balances the book, but she lives her life too.
Okay, that's nice.
She not only balances the book, I think she balances her own and her family aspirations.
That's also very nice, the way you put it.
She balances the books and balances the world.
That's true. And there is another aspect where women generally tend to put a back burner, not just on their health, like we discussed, not just on their ambitions, but their hobbies or their little things that they want to do in life stuff. So what is that one thing which you wanted to do apart from your profession, and y'all picked it up and y'all did it?
I do take out some time, when it kicks in, no, I have to do it.
Correct.
And I do it. But the day before I was just discussing, I really love to decorate the spaces.
Okay.
I do it, put this planter, put this wall piece and everything together. But I do have this dream, I have set some benchmark for myself that I'll take up my practice to this level. And then I'm going to give it away to someone who's really worthy. Okay. And I want to join hands with some interior designer and I'll work as his or her apprentice. I really want to take it up as a full-time profession, I tell you.
Okay, that's nice.
Still I'm waiting for that, but till then I just keep on doing something
or the other.
Yeah.
That's nice. How about you, ma'am?
right from my childhood, I was engaged in, I love doing something creative. I like photography. I like good presentations. And my creative went out was when I started my Instagram page, Plated Perfection, where I would, plate it in a certain way every single
Yeah.
day. And that was fun outside of my routine.
Yeah. So that's something which kept you going as well. Yeah. That's nice.
Right from childhood, I've been a Carnatic music connoisseur. I really love listening to Carnatic music. I play the Carnatic Veena. CA has been tough on my Veena, I would say. There were times when I had to stay away from the instrument, especially the initial years of work where we had to clock in a lot more hours and how things were. But I think over a period of time, I was just giving excuses. Oh, I've got married. Oh, I have children. But my husband was like, you should be doing that. He was somebody who kept telling me that don't forget it. It's something like, at least for the next generation that it should go, it should live another 1 or 2 generations. So I did pick it up again and I was able to perform again in Melbourne, and here again I have picked it up. So I think that's one thing I wish to do. I would say not yet doing it that consistently. I think that's where it is. I think the consistency, that the priority that we give to our career and family, that the third line of our hobbies does not get that kind of a consistent time and effort. And that's probably my mantra for this year, that I will give every day so much, half an hour or even 15 minutes to the instrument just to practice. I play not for performance, but more because I love the tone. I just love listening to music, and probably even participating, attending concerts is a way of giving time to enhance the overall this one. So I think that's where I love to do.
That's nice. Thank you so much. I have had a lovely time talking to all three of you all and nitpicking on the little aspects of how we can empower more women and keep giving to keep gaining. And yeah, each one of you all have had a beautiful journey. And I guess through this episode, in some way or the other, we can give that little spark which you all three gained in a very early stage of your life to women out there or men out there watching this episode. So thank you so much for this conversation, and please keep balancing the books going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Geena. Thank you, Zoho, for having us over here.
Definitely.
Thanks a lot for this great opportunity. It was wonderful. And really thanks to Zoho for creating such a space where we could just openly talk about our experience and enjoy the time.
Thank you.
If not for this meet, I would not know when I would meet Swaroopa or when I would meet you. So thanks for putting us in this room and having conversations, which make us introspect and, bring us back to our why.
Like I said, please keep balancing the books and please keep empowering all the women out there. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.